So welcome everyone, and thank you for joining us today for the wrap-up session, which is the last session of our Websitval and the last day of our 3-day Websitval. We have a series of, I will say, very interesting and quite successful workshops over the past 2 days, meetings. We managed to engage all different laboratories. We managed to engage different stakeholders from public and private institutions. We also proposed 2 interactive games in the morning and in the afternoon session. They were different, of both of them. One proposed by yourself, by Universidad de Salamanca, Francesco Sapino. The other one proposed by Gustavo Ayala and Tania Santos from the Stockholm Environment Institute. I think that participants enjoyed it quite a bit. The feedback was very positive. And the objective of putting the people together in a room, even if virtual, to know each other, start building interactions and synergies. Also, in face of what we have next, the in-person meetings that we have during the workshop, I think that objective was met, and we are paving the way towards a even more successful interaction during our next international stakeholder workshop. I think we can start there. I don't know what you think with the statistics that you provided on the participation. I have the email here. I can look for it. Just to summarize the participation, I think we had 28 participants in the morning session, if I'm not wrong.
That's correct. 28 participants from organizations that are that include also the consortium partners, and that means something like 16, 17 participants from organizations from outside of the world.
Thank you, Dad. So I think this is good news for our first interaction. I think it's a good number. Our target was, similar what we expected. Was also in this line. Obviously, we have more ambitious targets for the next workshops, and including obviously the in-person workshops, where we plan to have over 30 stakeholders in person. But also in the Websitval, we think that in the future we can also manage to put together a larger group of people. I see this session, I see this, it's not me, the organizers of this Websitval see this session as an opportunity to reflect on what was the impression from the different stakeholders in each lab. So I would like to give the floor to the lab scientific coordinators, that is the people who are leading the research and stakeholder engagement in the different laboratories in the context of Transcend, and who are partners of the project themselves. I would like to give the floor to them to provide a brief recap, very brief recap, 1-2 minutes, on what they think, or what if they have heard from the stakeholders. Ideally, it would be great to know what they think or what they have heard from them about the perception of the Websitval, what they think was the key message that reached the stakeholders, what they think about the modeling blueprint that we propose, if it was possible to get this feedback, which I think in some cases has been challenging, and finally conclude with a critical discussion on potential improvements that we can develop over the next Websitvals and international stakeholder workshop. This is very important for us because, based on this Websitval and the second one, we are going to organize the contents of the first international stakeholder workshop in person this time. We have to define the topics. So we want to hear from you whether you think the approach that we follow in this Websitval was something that you like, if you think that it can be improved some way on the other, if you think that the serious game that we use was the adequate vehicle for interaction with the stakeholders. This is something that is written in the proposal, so there's not much we can change about the vehicle itself, but we can probably change the contents and do something more complex, less complex, more accessible, or more focused on the technical aspects of the project, or more designed for a wider group of stakeholders, perhaps. So I I will do as Jaro did in the morning session yesterday. I will ask if anyone, if any lab scientific coordinator wants to go first. Otherwise, since all 7 lab scientific coordinators will have to participate today, well, I will just point fingers. I would prefer not to do that, but if there's someone who wants to go first, Dinesh and Niranjan, you turn on your cameras. I don't know if you would like to go first. By the way, it's nice seeing you, Dinesh, that you have recovered. So if you want to go first, it's up to you.
Thank you so much, Dinesh. Nice meeting you, though virtually. I was actually down with the fever and cold, bad cold. Actually, this is something which really irritates. So you can't focus on anything. I'm extremely sorry about that. And I think Nitin and other colleagues have been attending these meetings. So the Nitin was telling, Niranjan was telling me that we couldn't get many stakeholders actually participating. We are actually part of the project, so we couldn't get other stakeholders. One of the reasons is that somehow they are not able to establish a connect with the project team. So these people are sitting somewhere, we are all sitting somewhere else. So I think we have to find some mechanism to establish that kind of a connect with these people. Otherwise, because the timing is very odd, they find it very difficult. And most of the people who we are inviting, unfortunately or fortunately, they are important. They are very busy people, like all of us. So their time is also, they are also overcommitted. So it's very difficult to get these people attend these kind of meetings during odd hours, like 6:30. Even for me, I just came back from office at 5:45, and then then I have to join this meeting. So by that time you're already tired. So that is one problem. And people, of course, if they don't know you, they don't know us so closely, they can always skip these meetings because nobody's going to ask them why, how come they are not. So you understand that the stakes are so low. The what do you get in economics, opportunity cost. The opportunity cost is what explains, the opportunity cost is not there, so they don't attend this meeting. So we have to find some ways to get them interested in this meetings. So that is the only observation I want to make. But otherwise, I really appreciate this effort and the enthusiasm that you are showing and the other team members are showing in organizing this. But I think it's good for my colleagues. I think it's also good that I kept out of this. So they are showing a lot of interest and they know more about the project than me. That's also good. And I think they are my colleagues. I think 3 of them at least are contributing very meaningfully to various components of the project, the various packages. So that's all. That's my
Thank you, Dinesh.
comment.
I think Jaro raised his hand. I mean, just the idea is this is very good feedback, but this is something that maybe we can discuss. I mean, at a later stage also. So yeah, I mean, the participation is true that we didn't have many stakeholders from the Mahanadi. So in this case, we cannot ask much about what the takeaway message was for them. But I will leave the floor to Jaro. You raised your hand time ago. Sorry.
No, thank you, Dionysia. Thank you, Dinesh. I think we are also having the stakeholders, right? And this is, in the spirit of the full transparency. So we welcome your comments. And so this is not project meeting. So if you feel out of the place, please don't, because this is the right place to be, right? This is the session where we look into what has been achieved and what we could do better next time. So for everybody who is not participating in the project consortium, please stay with us if you are interested. Please take the floor and please share your impression as well, right? This is my opening. The second thing, and thank you very much, Dinesh, for being so frank and so open. I think this is what we have expected. I mean, this project is unique in the sense that Dionysia said that, right? It's a project over which the pilots the sun never sets. So it's basically from India up to the Latin America, right? It's spanning an enormous field. First, the timing is not ideal, right? To find the time, it's too late for some colleagues, it's too early for the others. And having said that, I really appreciated that the commitment of some colleague that stand up at 3 o'clock in the night in order to give the presentation. So thank you very much for that. So I think there is a little bit, the positive framing of this is that we have attracted 45 people from non-project organizations from across the different pilots. So this is not bad because 45. I should say there is a bias because some of the colleagues, we have noticed that have registered and that shared their registration with other colleagues. So the actual number of the unique participant from outside of this consortium might have been higher than 45. But I think this was the first attempt to create a platform where the stakeholders and the policymaker from across the different pilots would come together and listen and learn from one another and so on. So we knew that it will be difficult the first time, and we are learning. We will repeat this exercise several times, but what we are particularly interested in learning how to attract the attention. And this is, of course, the project has just started, or started, a few months ago. It has not yet been able to work side by side with the stakeholders. It has not yet the punchy result and so on. But nevertheless, it creates the platform for the people to meet, to interact, to learn from one another and so on. So 45 for me is not bad. It's really good in the end. I mean, given that the participation, this Websitval was not promoted via all the institutional networks. It was upon invitation, basically, mostly, and so on. So this is the first thing. The second thing is that why we are doing this. It is important to give the sense of the breadth and depth of the stakeholder engagement across the pilot, continent, and countries. It's interesting to let the other know that there are similar issues and raise the curiosity about how those issues might be solved in other places using similar transformational and participatory modeling work like in this project. So this is another point. So just to keep it short, what I wanted to say is that we take into account everything what you said. We are trying to collect the feedback, make sense of the feedback, and propose a better scheme for the next time. And that will also include a better and tailored communication. But I believe that we are at the beginning of a journey that is really interesting for most of our stakeholders because they have connected, they are interested to learn, and they will see more and more coming from the project. So I would like to frame it positively. I think it was nice exercise. Thank you everybody for contributing to this.
Thank you so much, Jaro. I mean, I couldn't agree more. I think that we were exchanging emails after the 2 time zones with Jaro and also Alice, our PI team. And I mean, I think we all agreed in saying that the experience was quite good in terms of participation and engagement. Not only participation, because you can have good numbers and then people just waiting for without being very active. But I mean, in both sessions, both time zones, the participation was quite good. Also, I mean, one thing that the stakeholders who are in the room may find odd is that we are discussing here about the outcomes, and we are not doing that internally, and that's something that perhaps they are not used to. As end users, you are probably accustomed to find, I mean, to be delivered some talks, etc., and some Websitvals, and then you just take the results from there and you just go back home, etc. The wrap-up session is designed as part of the Talanoa dialogue that inspires this project. The Talanoa dialogue is a concept that we developed with some partners of this project and some other people in the context of a previous Horizon 2020 project. It's inspiring the Talanoa climate dialogue, and in this dialogue we intend and we understand that the stakeholders are not only end users but also designers of the research, and this is why we have you here in this room, and we would love to hear your feedback. So I just want to highlight again what Jaro was saying, it's very important that you don't feel strange being here, but rather that you actively participate, because this is what we are looking for. I mean, your inputs. So not only from local scientific coordinators, which are in contact with all of you, but also from stakeholders. So thank you, Dines, very much, and thank you, Jar, of course, for highlighting these very important points. Now I think we can move to another lab. Perhaps we can ask Maggie. I don't know if you are here, because Maggie, probably you have a lot of feedback, because we had several stakeholders from the Timpaki Basin. I mean, we had several colleagues from the region of Crete and other institutions. So I don't know if you had the chance to talk to them, or if you have some impressions on your own that you would like to share about what was the takeaway message, and what are the lessons that we can learn for the future? What are the implications for the work with the stakeholders?
Yeah, hi, Diony. I myself, I was not, I have not been able to attend the Websitval, unfortunately. I'm on a maternity leave, so I just joined for now for the session, hoping to listen to the outcomes. I was talking a bit with Marinos who joined, and we have more people from Crete. I don't know if they want to add something. We didn't go through the details, but I think they found it very useful. But I think what it was more useful for them was the fact that this was a joint meeting among all the lab stakeholders. So it was not just targeting, a bilateral thing with stakeholders from one lab. So I think they found it very useful that they have been able to get more knowledge and listen to others and get more holistic views on what the other people are doing. And I think this is a very good merit of this Websitval. Because usually, when we have stakeholder workshops within each lab, we're a bit limited to, obviously they're very useful, but we are a bit limited to getting only the views from this one. So I think for them, it was also a great added value, the fact that it was a common thing among different regions. In terms of the blueprint, I think it's straightforward, the modeling blueprint for them. It was clear, there was a finger remark that somehow we missed groundwater in one presentation, but I think Marinos probably already mentioned something, because we're trying to link the current model also surface and groundwater, so have an integrated approach. So yeah, sorry, I cannot convey much more. But this was so far what I could say. I see Fotis also has raised his hand, so maybe he can also reflect a bit from Esara.
Sure. Fotis,
Hi from hi from me. I would just like to add that I found yesterday's session very interesting, the game. But it was very interesting to see how different people from different regions are approaching the whole matter. I found the results were very interesting. Yes, as Greeks, we still build dams here in Crete, and if you ask a different kind of stakeholders in the region, the first solution that they are thinking of is, let's build a dam again, a bigger, a smaller. So I find it very interesting. I find also very interesting the different approaches from the other regions. As Marinos mentioned, Timbaki is a very small region. So it is very interesting to see how we can implement all these tools to Timbaki and to other regions, river basins that are much, much bigger than ours. So for me, it was very interesting to be a part of this web festival. And I think our stakeholders also found it very interesting.
I'm muted, sorry. Thank you for this so much. That's very useful. I think Maria also raised.
Yeah.
Okay, please.
Okay, yeah. I would like to pose a question because I think that you said that there will be an international in-person meeting with stakeholders also, not only with partners. Okay, can you tell us what is the planning on that? When is going to be something like that? Because
Absolutely.
it's good to know in order to plan who stakeholders can come, and it will be interesting for them.
Thank you so much. I'm just now opening the document because I mean, I said it's the third year, but I have to check exactly what month will be. So just let me take a look. In any case, I can start by saying that, yeah, we have an international stakeholder workshop. Actually, we have two international stakeholder workshops. These workshops are developed on top of the workshops that you have in your own labs. So in each of the labs, we are going to have 4 workshops, 1 per year. In these workshops, we are going to engage only with the local stakeholders and local academics, and obviously other academics working in the project from elsewhere. So there will be collaboration, international collaboration, but it will be more the local stakeholders asking the consortium what they want from us. And then on top of that, we are going to have 2 international events with the stakeholders, which are the international workshops, and 2 international events with academics, which are 2 summer schools.
The next year. The first one is the next year, next
summer. It will
summer?
be first international workshop is in month 25. So, I mean,
okay.
Please bear in mind that these dates are flexible. So it will depend on whether we can accommodate all these stakeholders to attend in this date. So we will make a survey first. We have to identify what stakeholders each basin each lab is going to invite. Because each lab will have a number of participants assigned. We cannot invite like 20 people per lab because then the resources are limited. But yeah, we will be in contact with the lab scientific coordinators, region of Crete and 7 in this case, in the case of Crete, of the Timpaki Basin. And we will first agree on the date, identify what rapporteurs they want to invite, stakeholders, and then celebrate the first international stakeholder workshop around month 25. Bear in mind that this is January 2025. So it's in 1 year,
ahead.
14 months from now. Yeah, so that's the timing that we have planned. But obviously depending, because January maybe is not the best timing, because some people are busy back from holidays now, they have to take their work, etc. So we may move it maybe ahead or back a bit, but it will be around the month 25. You will be duly informed about that.
Okay, especially for the representatives from the academic area, due to the fact that they have a lot of, dates that they are doing several of things, it would be a good idea to commence the survey that you mentioned early enough, so that we can find the right dates for most of those who can attend. Thank you.
Exactly. That idea. The idea is to coordinate ourselves with the lab scientific coordinators as soon as possible, probably after Christmas. But yeah, very soon, and try to start organizing the workshop as soon as possible, identify the exact dates, and then send an invitation to the rapporteurs. And based on the answer, we'll find out first if the dates can be confirmed, and then we'll formalize the invitation. Okay, that was very actually, thank you very much. That was a great feedback from the Timpaki lab, 3 people. Thank you from different spheres. So that was very useful. Now, Rodica, you raise your hand. So what I can do is we can start maybe talking about the Reno lab if you want, or if you have, I don't know if you have some other contributions related to what we were saying.
Hello, hi. Yes, just to say some words about these days. Unfortunately, Cinzia is not with us, so is sorry that she isn't here today, but she sent great regards. And what could we say? That it was fruitful days. It was days that help us to underline and to understand the common gaps in the modeling. So we have seen that one of the common gaps is those of socioeconomical modeling impact. So and also those concerning the future simulation using the CMIP6 scenarios. Also, we found very interesting the serious games. We hadn't time to discuss with our stakeholders, but we think that this is a very useful tool. This was our impression. Yeah, just some words from Arpaio. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Rodica. Do you think I have a question for you, Rodica? Was it? Oh, please, Jaro, ahead.
Yes.
Go ahead. Jaro raised his hand. I didn't realize.
Yeah, Diony, I can wait after your question to Rodica. I would then take up a minute for something.
Oh, okay, okay, great. No, I was wondering, Rodica, what was your impression after you saw the serious game in the first session? Do you think it was useful for the stakeholders to see the socioeconomic analysis? I mean, by coupling an hydrological model that is being used by river basin authorities with other socioeconomic models to see what are the implications of water resource management from the economic standpoint. I say that because, I mean, the serious game that was presented in the morning session was somehow a soft coupling between an hydrological model, which in this case was AquaTool, but you are using Topkapi, so it could be a similar application. So I was wondering if they had some feedback on that, or if you have some feedback on that.
Up to now, we don't have feedback, but we think that this is an important tool that could help us to try to do such kind of analysis. Yeah, we found the serious game very interesting and useful. We'll speak with our stakeholder, but we think that it's moment to start also this kind of analysis for Reno Basin, as we know, is missing such kind of study. Yeah. And this is the moment to start to also to do something in this direction. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Rodica. I was making the question because I thought there were some similarities between I mean, there are many similarities between the Reno approach to modeling, hydrological modeling, and the Spanish one. So thank you so much. Thank you, Rodica. So I'm pleased, Jaro. Thank you for giving us this time.
Thank you very much. I have prepared an ice-breaking activity for you, and I have a question to all participants. And so in a second, you will see a question appearing on your screen, and you might try your guess and try to answer that, and then you will learn who is the winner. So here comes the question. Right. And the question is, from which pilot area we have registered the largest number of stakeholders? That means participants that do not belong to the consortium organizations. Right. And you might cast your vote now. It's interesting. You should see the intermediate result, right?
Where can I see? Where can we see that, Jaro?
The quiz should appear on your screen, right?
Yeah, I already answered, but then.
And the funny thing, I think you should see also the result, but if not, then I will tell you in a couple of seconds.
Okay, okay.
Right, it seems that the number of responses is stable now. So we have basically 11 responses from out of 19 participants. So that's roughly 60%. So according to the pool, I think this is also reflecting a little bit the representation in this room. According to this pool, you guessed that the Timpaki pilot in Greece attracted most stakeholders, followed by Reno, Hukar, and the international international river basin in the Latin America which have the same score, right? So the answer is right. Yeah, the Greek pilot study attracted something like 11, at least 11 local stakeholders. So this is correct. But the other answers are not so correct because the second pilot that attracted most participants from outside of the consortium is Hooker in Spain. The third one is Mahandi in India, actually 7. And only the Reno and other case studies come afterwards, right? So this is interesting, and this is also a feedback to colleagues from Mahandi River Basin. And there have been a number of local stakeholders participating in this, although perhaps less participating in this discussion, but they were and they contributed, they listened to and learned about the outcomes. So first of all, thank you, Maggie, and congratulations for giving, taking this first cup of the first Websitval. I think at the next General Assembly, you will be handed over a bottle of wine as the winner. Winner pilot of this first Websitval. Thank you. Over to you, Diony.
Thank you, Yaro. But that's actually quite nice. That it's a good incentive for the scientific coordinators to bring more people. Yeah, we'll prepare something special for Maggie when we see her, because now it's in maternity leave. So the next time we meet, we make sure that she receives this well-deserved prize, and also Marinos, of course, and the colleagues from the region of Crete. We already covered 3 of the 7 laboratories. I have to say that 2 of them already emailed me that we're not going to be here. So I mean, we can do the recap without them. I received something from the FUCA, and well, I also talked to Tanya and Gustavo. So I guess next we can go to the Orontes, Hadi, if you don't mind. Can you tell us what your impression is from this Websitval, and do you think is it going to be helpful towards international stakeholder workshop or even the local workshops?
Okay. I have to admit first that the term Websitval was new to me. So I think, from our side, participation was low. There could be several reasons for that. One of them is probably the language, but also the disconnection between the stakeholders' interests and the objectives of the project. So we are mainly interested in modeling and coming up with results that could help and feed, climate change adaptation policies. However, after our meeting with the stakeholders during the workshop, they are mainly interested in something that they can see like changes on the ground. It seems that, although the basin is important, however, the location of it is far away from the center of Lebanon, from Beirut. And for example, I need 3 hours to drive up there, and it's or maybe actually more. So 3.5 hours to go up there, and it's like the farthest area of the country from Beirut. So people have been like complaining about too many studies, too many surveys, too many NGOs working in that region, too many projects on paper, but not enough work on the ground. So they're mainly interested in things that they can, see directly. Some mentioned restoration of the riparian areas around the river. Some mentioned, a survey of the wells in the region and estimate their impact on the water use, which is I find very interesting for us. Other mentioned more engagement of the government. I talked about this in the first session of this Websitval. So perhaps we have to, as the Lebanese lab, we have to work harder to bring them on board. But again, it's challenging to have them.
No, thank you so much, Hadi, and thank you for being so, so honest. It's something that we already, you commented yesterday and 2 days ago, I think it was in the first session. And it's something we have been discussing also bilaterally, and I know how challenging this can be. I was wondering, do you think because you mentioned that they're interested in a few interventions, do you think if making an assessment of what a sort of economic feasibility assessment or economic viability assessment for some of the interventions they are looking for, like the restoration or the other one that you mentioned, which is indeed more relevant for us. Do you think that's something they will be interested in, like producing a sort of report which can be integrated in our deliverables, accommodated in our deliverables, in which we inform exactly what they are interested in, like saying, we want this intervention. Okay, let's see what will be the implications of this intervention.
Yeah, I think this could be useful. Now we of course explain to them that we are not an institution, or we're not a partner who can implement things on the ground. Like we need to engage other stakeholders, such as the ministries, the different organizations working there, etc. But again, there's a disconnect between the locals and those organizations, and there's some kind of lack of trust. So it's hard. I mean, we can produce reports, we can produce studies and share it with them and share it with the other stakeholders in the basin. But again, I mean, they expect that some implementation. So without and I didn't promise them implementations because we're not an implementing body, but we can advise implementing bodies. We can push for some implementations, but this is where it stops.
Yeah, now I was thinking that perhaps we could try to approach them from the perspective of the outcomes and the outcomes and impacts of the project, like saying, okay, this is a first step that may lead towards that, but as you know, before building this infrastructure or before developing this policy or before restoring the riverine ecosystem, you need to know how much this is going to cost and what's going to be the effectiveness of this intervention. There are different measures that can be taken, so we can address this and produce a sort of viability assessment that you can present and discuss with the stakeholders in a group. I'm thinking just aloud, this is an approach that I follow when I was working at CNCC with Jaro in Italy. It's an approach that we follow with some local stakeholders who had a similar level of disconnection. They were part of the project, but they were feeling that they were never going to have any impact on the actual decision making. So our approach was, okay, what would you like to have here implemented? And then we saw what would be the implications, and they managed to present it in front of the ministry. And I mean, that's one first step, but perhaps they can feel as something more tangible than just doing a study of a battery of policies that maybe they are not so much engaging. So if they feel that there are like 2 or 3 key policies of key interventions they would like to do, even if we cannot do them, maybe we can tell them, okay, this is what will happen. And maybe it's a first building block that they can interpret as useful. I know it's very challenging for you, Hari. I'm just trying to identify some ways of making them like participate. But I know that in this basin, it's not like the litany, right? So it's much more challenging.
I think we can try that. That's a good idea. Thanks, Joe.
Thank you, Hari. And thank you for the feedback. I mean, I'm very much looking forward to working I'm going to the Orontes with you and working with the people there.
Yeah.
I think we are, of the people here, we are missing only Robert from the Nitra Basin. Oh, sorry, Jaro, you raised your hand. So Jaro first.
No, I was clapping. Thank you very much for that. But Hadi, I would love to come over as well. Right? Count on me. So whenever you are going to organize anything in your laboratory, I will be there. Thank you.
It would be, perhaps it's something, what Jaro was saying is something that can help. I don't know how much, but I mean, showing commitment from the side of the consortium and bringing the researchers who are working on doing the things maybe and discussing the approaches that we can take with the stakeholders. Maybe that can be helpful, and that's something that we have to promote also in the second round of workshops, especially with the regions in which we may feel that a push in this stakeholder engagement is necessary. So certainly, I mean, count on us, Harry. And now, yeah, Robert, what can you tell us about what were your impressions of the blueprint? Could you collect some feedback from the stakeholders? I saw that you had some people from the SGP, if I'm not wrong, participating at the. So I don't know if you had time to talk to them. Perhaps it's too soon, or your impression maybe.
Yeah, hi everybody. No, I haven't gotten any feedback yet. Actually, I think our turn up wasn't very high. So we had 2 people, I think, first day from SVP and the mining company, and then yesterday there was a representative of the mining company. I guess there are also several reasons why. Maybe like it's the timing that it's before Christmas. Everybody is quite busy with their agenda, and maybe the notice was a bit short. But also, I feel like I would back what Dinesh said, that I've been feeling like the engagement wasn't so high from the network in the past months or after the workshop. And I mean, I could speculate what are the reasons. I think it's that people from these governmental agencies are also like overburdened with their agenda, and maybe don't have time, and then also maybe they don't or haven't discovered or appreciated maybe the value of the project yet. So I hope that like in the next workshop when we do the Senaton, maybe they will realize that it would be really helpful tool for them. But it could also be what Hadi just said, that the objectives and interests of the different stakeholders are quite different in our group. For example, the mining company, maybe they're mostly interested in the financial support from the state and maybe like less complicated impact assessment or policies, so they can go on with their water retention projects. And then for the water managers, maybe it's completely different. So yeah, and maybe like when we talk about the modeling and modeling suite, maybe it's hard to grasp like what it can do for them. So maybe I really hope that the Senatons could make them more engaged.
Yeah. No, thank you, Robert. This is very useful, and this feedback is also very useful. We are missing here the Hooker and the Caprina Mauri de Saguadero, who could give us their impression on what their feeling was, because I mean in these basins the support was significantly higher than in the others, and the participation, I mean, obviously together with the Timpaki basin. But in any case, this discussion is very useful to identify in what basins we may need to focus the engagement efforts over the next months before the second workshop. Orontes, Mahanadi, and Nitra have already voiced these difficulties with engaging stakeholders. I mean, we knew it wasn't going to be easy. This is a very sensitive issue. I mean, there are sometimes conflicting views, and it's not easy to produce something that can reach all the stakeholders. Sometimes you are successful with one group, but that means that you're not going to be successful with the other because they are confronted in the interview. So it's quite challenging. We know that, but perhaps I think this is this Websitval was illustrating that very well. It builds on what we have on the workshops, and certainly will help us to focus our efforts in terms of stakeholder engagement over the next few months. I don't know, Robert, what was your view on the serious game that we deliver in the morning or in the afternoon, if you could see it? Obviously, it's not exactly what we plan to produce for the second round of workshops, but I don't know if this is something like that could help, or if you will, make a few changes here and there to improve the performance.
Yeah, I was just going to write the comment about a serious game, and I really like the format of the meeting. I think it was like concise and and the timing was good, and also the serious game was quite interesting, and it really, it's quite practical, and it really makes you see the value and like what you can do with the tools. So I think I'm hoping that the second workshop will be really interesting, and the Senaton will help to engage the stakeholders. Maybe I would, I know that we didn't have much time yesterday, so I think I would needed more time to like look at the different solutions and strategies a little bit more. But I guess there will be more time in the workshops for that.
Yeah, no, in the Nitra, it's a very unique basin. It's not unique. Obviously all basins are unique, but it's very it's significantly different from the others, which are mostly agricultural. So there are important differences that we need to take into account when developing the game. So we'll need to be in touch over the next months to make sure that it's relevant for you whatever we develop, and incorporate the modeling step by step after we start working with the game. And Jared, sorry, I think you raised your hand some time ago. Sorry, just went.
No, that's fine. That's perfectly fine. I just wanted to share some intermediate feedback, in terms of making sense of what we are listening to. So I take, there are a couple of very good points, like keep it short next time, like shorter, in order to bring the people together. Anticipate a little bit with a longer lead time, and incentivize the people why they should come and talk to us. And this lead time might be also several months, right? It might be like pushing some interesting insight from the project, and getting the people on the hook on why this project is interesting and so on. So that might be developed also via interesting webinars that are tailored to specific areas. So we might think of keeping the activity with the stakeholders alive, also between the stakeholders workshops and the international workshops, with interesting talks. So preparing an agenda of interesting information for them to follow, and then feel more ready to join. So this is something that I just wanted to say for reporting and recording. Is something that we might think about how to put it in practice. Thank you, over.
Thank you, Jan. So we already had the summary from the Nitra. Thank you, Robert, so much. Also Mahanari, Orontes, Reno, and Timpaki. We are missing two. Fortunately, we don't have any representatives from the FUCAR and unless I'm wrong, and I'm not, I think, from the FUCAR and the Capitán Mauri de Saguadero. They let me know that we're not going to be able to join. Regarding the FUCAR, I think the experience was quite satisfactory, as Jaro showed, in terms of participation. We were not expecting a huge participation actually 2 days before the meeting, but finally we could get some people involved and relevant stakeholders. In the Capitán Mauri de Saguadero, the engagement was quite successful. I will say that this is one of the basins in which, and one of the labs in which, thanks probably to the work of the Stockholm Environment Institute, stakeholders are more used to collaborate with academics in developing these sort of interventions. And yesterday was a very good example. Gustavo and Tania developed a serious game in which, the participation was, quite significant. People were very active, lots of questions. It was a very useful serious game that we can also implement in other labs. So as you know, the recordings from the different time zones will be uploaded after we finish the Websitval. I invite you to take a look at that meeting in the time zone too, because we only had the Spanish and the Latin American labs in that one. Well, it was in Spanish, but there is a link. That's a good thing to take into account. But you have there are some materials that are shared, and we will upload together with the video, including the serious game. And the serious game is in English, so that's something that you can experiment with. It's an Excel file, very simple, and you just have to play with the numbers that are in red in order to find in what way you can achieve the minimum environmental flows at the outlet of the basin. So it was very much appreciated by the stakeholders, the way it went. So it feels, I mean, it adds to your comment, Robert. I think they like that. They like that it was simple. They like that it was understandable, and they like that it put very complex issues in a very simple way. So this is something I think that we all have to look for in our next workshop, to maybe not to. I think the serious game, which was also planned like that in the project, but I think it's important that we are committed to making a serious game that is more about understanding the problem rather than being accurate about the solutions. So in this regard, I think this sort of serious game that was presented by Sage yesterday is very useful. And by the way, they also provided a last slide, which you can download as well in the website, in which they have links to different serious games. This is also available in the deliverable that they are producing, and it will be uploaded over this month. I mean, so over the next week, the latest, in which they have a list of different serious games. We have a deliverable on Stenatons, as you know, is going to be produced this month. So I invite you all to take a look at it, especially lab scientific coordinators, to see if you can find some inspiration there, and let us know which one you would like to develop, because that's critical for us, and especially for the team in the work package 2 and 1 to develop these tools. So I don't know, Jared, if you have some final remark that you would like to make, because we have 5 minutes left, so over to you.
Thank you, Diony. I have a couple of thoughts, and this is, of course, this first Websitval, there was an idea of connecting to the pilots and having short videos or short online presentation from the area where the pilot is located. I think because of the time constraints, we have not been able to implement that, but for the next one, we will definitely take it into account. Speaking about the languages, of course, right, it might have helped also in the Italian lab if we were speaking in Italian, everybody, or in the Indian one, right, or wherever. So I think we will try to bring the local language context into the play. Perhaps the next Websitval we can have a invited keynote from the local representative, and we can have a interpreter to translate and interpret the speech that has worked very nicely also with the Latin America intervention from the first day. And I believe we should also take a little bit incentive and learn a few words from the other languages. So Spanish is hola. Right? The next time we will focus on India, perhaps, and we will learn a few words in Indian, something that creates bonds and community relationship. So we will keep that in mind and bring some incentive for everybody to hook on and participate in this discussion. So that's all, right? We have collected very nice ideas for the next Websitval. We know that there's some work on us to create incentives, and we will come up with a redesigned format for the Websitval well ahead of time, and we will put it for consultation across the pilot stakeholders and so on. So thank you very much for everything.
Thank you, Jared, and thank you all. I'm looking forward to the next Websitval. I'm sure that it will be even better than this one. Thank you for joining us in this last session. I know it was tiring, 3 days in a row, even if the sessions were short. So I'm looking forward, as I said, to meeting you all soon, hopefully in person. Take good care in the meanwhile and keep in touch.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you.
Take
Bye
care.
bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.